Friday show. I have an empty seat beside me, and Gina will be joining me soon. If your screen is blurry, we apologize for that. It does happen. I just heard the girls talking about getting a new piece of equipment, so hopefully that will solve our problem long range. Um, what I wanted to talk, well, I have a list of things I want to talk about. One of them, you've heard me talk about it many times, the Legacy Fund Trust, which is sort of a branch of the National Pigeon Association. It started about 11 years ago with a real good idea by 3 or 4 very prominent people. They say, their thought was, what if we could collect money, put it away, let it draw interest and dividends and earned income, we would call it. Oh, by the way, I've been told not to talk with my hands. I'm trying not to. It makes blood. But anyway, their idea was to collect contributions in one way or another, put them in the bank, so to speak, or in investments, and never ever touch them. But eventually, the program would develop enough money so that these investments pay us earned income. And with that earned income, what we would do is help people who are in the pigeon fancy. It could be a motorcycle. We're doing a show in the warehouse with the screen, with the storm door, with the garage door open. But anyway, the principal would be available to help individuals. It would be available to help clubs. It would also be available to help other organizations that may be involved with pigeons. Um, we got, when we started out, if you can imagine this, 4 people put in $500 each to get going, which gave us $2,000. And it grew slowly. And I think some NPA members might have thought that this thing isn't going to work because we're not writing, the trust isn't helping anybody. But if you think of it this way, when you had, let's say, $5,000 in a bank, and the average earned income, depending on the market and so forth, the average earned income would have been at 3% would have given us $1,500. So it took a long time to really develop some substantial income. We've tried different things. One of the things that worked for us very well, of course, talking to individuals, mentioning it in magazines. But then someone came up with the idea of having auctions at the pigeon shows. So we would travel to a lot of the different shows and still do and still will. And people at the shows would either bring birds to these shows or they, at the show, they would donate birds after we made a couple of announcements. We would put them in a cage and then we would have what's called a silent auction. I think that's what it's called, where people would bid. And the highest bidder at the cutoff time would get that pair of birds. And that evolved into what you're watching now. Uh, Maybe 3 years ago, we developed a show called Boys on Facebook. By the way, we're looking for a new name because we're also on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube and a couple of other locations. So rather than calling it Boys on Facebook, maybe it might have an idea what we could call the show because we are on three different outlets or two. 3 different outlets. So we'd like a different name. It's not just going to be on Facebook. But anyway, when these auctions started, the money started to go up because we had a number of shows, and it wasn't unusual to bring in $1,000 at one show. I knew I should have done that. So, should have done that in the beginning. So, that started, and then we got involved with FOIs, and we called the show FOIs on Facebook. And every show, or at least almost every show, depending on the birds that we have, we would auction those off. So going in 11 years, going from that original $2,000, we are now approaching $100,000. Just amazing. Where the exact number is between $93,000 and $94,000 right now. And I would venture to say at least 60 to 65, maybe 70% of all the money we've raised is thanks to people like you or other fanciers who have heard that we're looking for good quality birds. The trustees of the trust and the board of directors and individual members that we talk to as shows have given us birds. And I'm going to show you three pairs that were auctioned off, and the auction is over now, is it not, Veronica? So the show, this is the end of the birds that we just auctioned off all week, and we'll be announcing the winners. But I wanted to show you some of the top quality birds that have been sent to us. So, the reason I've done all of this, of course, is to ask you. Um, we need contributions. We'd love to hit 100,000 within the next couple of months, if at all possible. It's not impossible that we couldn't raise enough money to hit it this year. So if you have a pair of birds, when I say a pair, a hen and a cock, and it's not birds you want to get rid of because they're worthless. We're asking you for some of your better birds or even some of your best birds. Send them to Foy's. Call me first. I'll tell you how to do it. And if you send your birds to us, the birds will be auctioned off on our show. And you, as the contributor of the birds, will then be not awarded. You will be recognized in the National Pigeon Association's quarterly magazine twice a year, as a contributor. We've had companies, as I said, we've had clubs, individuals, friends of the hobby. But if you would consider yourself a fancier or a friend of the hobby, you could send us a check. It could be in any amount. You send it to Foy's, you know the address, and you make the check out to NPA, National Pigeon Association, dash LFC. That stands for the Legacy Fund Trust. Send them to me, to Foy's, make the checks out to NPA LFT. But if you send birds, it makes it a little easy, doesn't cost anything out of your checkbook, so to speak, but you send them to us, we'll auction the birds off and mention your name. If you have any questions about the NPA LFT, just think about it now. If we hit 100,000 and now let's say we're raising, just doing 3%, 4%, 3%, we now will have $3,000 a year and growing to help out projects. We've just got a request for funding from a Christian youth group who raise white pigeons, and the kids and the adults do the white dove release, and all of the money that they collect goes to help youth and to help youth get interested in pigeons. So what a great opportunity for us at the LFT to approve something like that and write a check to them. I spoke to a gentleman that was in the store this morning, and his daughter is heavily involved. She's a sophomore in high school, and we got to talking about it. Involved in the FFA, Future Farmers of America, and with all the things going on, they're not as active as they could be, but they certainly would very much appreciate an investment to help future farmers of America. And we're planting that seed of the pigeon hobby. All of us have a history of way back when how we were introduced to pigeons, and somewhere in the future you might have pigeons until you're high school or out of college, or you just got married. You maybe drop the hobby for a while. But all of us have heard the story about somebody being out of the hobby for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and getting that itch again when they better positioned financially, or their family has grown and now they're looking for something to do. They think back to pigeons. So if you want to help the hobby, think about the Legacy Fund Trust. Gina is going to join me in 2 minutes, but this may take a little bit longer than I thought. But what I wanted people ask me, why don't I write a book? And I have written a couple. I wrote one. I think it's probably the most complete book ever written, full color, hardback, on lofts of North America. Over 100 different lofts with sketches and designs and suggestions, inside, outside. So that book has been in I think I wrote it about 8 years ago. And then 5 years ago, I wrote another book, but this is more of a pamphlet. I saw that the white dove release business was growing tremendously. And I knew also that a lot of the people who were getting into the white dove release business were not pigeon people. And they made so many basic mistakes because without good pigeons, you can be the best business person in the world, but if you don't have good pigeons, they're not going to come home. If you don't train them right, they're not going to come home. If you don't feed them right, they're not going to be as healthy as they should be. So I wrote a book called White Pigeons, The Color of Money. Been very, very well received. I don't want to say I blushed. I'm proud of that little book. But I got an email, and going through some of my emails, a lady said, Jerry, I just wanted to thank you very much for the White Pigeon book. She says, if somebody's getting into the white dove release business, they have to have this book. So if you are interested in it, it's a white pigeon book, but it's for beginners from the very beginning. I tell people if you want to get into the business, you've got to learn about pigeons. And how to run this business. So that's another book. Leading up to, I just within the last 2 weeks got serious about writing my third book. I'm pushing 80 now, and I said to myself, "Damn it! If you're going to do it, you better darn well do it." So I have started. What I do is I used to write the books by hand, and Veronica would translate my crude spelling and handwriting, and she created the book that I wrote with her help and with Gina's help. So I've started on the book. It's on health, pigeon health. Now I've got as far, and this is part. This is how I write the book. I do an email to Veronica. And I've started, and what I started with in the book, there'll be an introduction and all of the other stuff. That's feather lice and mites and pigeon fly and so forth. And what we're going to have is a description of the problem. Then later in the book will be the symptoms to recognize what the problem is, and then the treatment of the problem you have. So I did roundworms, hairworms, tapeworms, lungworms, and um, 2 days ago I started on canker. It usually takes a year to write a book. This one might take a little bit longer. And uh, Gina is now pointing, and she's getting a little jealous. My show always starts late. It did today because the girls were talking about something.
Not me.
Not Gina. So my show is 3 or 4 minutes late because they're talking about something that had nothing to do with the show. Right, Veronica? Yeah,
Technically, it
did. But anyways, my show started late. So Gina wants to come on. I have a lot more to talk about. I'll save it for the next show. Gina,
Put the thing up.
I have to close it down for a second.
Hello, happy Friday. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to Jerry and Gina
That's the name for
live
a show.
show. Jerry and Gina's live show. I'm Gina. This is Jerry. Today's topic, we're going to talk about pre-breeding and breeding season. But before we get to that, I want to announce the auction winners. So as you all know, we have an auction every other week. All the money goes to the NPA Legacy Fund Trust. If you have any questions on that, you can always call Jerry or myself, and we'll be happy to go over that with you. Um, so the helmets sold today. The winner was Jerry Jerry Aquino. I probably said that wrong. The German Modinas to David XOS. I don't know how to say that either. And then African Owls to Donovan Meeks. So if you won, please give us a call after the show. Preferably after the show. If not, give me a call on Monday, and we'll get that taken care of. The birds are normally shipped out on Tuesday, and once they are shipped, Jerry calls you with the tracking number, so you know when the birds are due. Excuse me.
Bless you. I guess that's a cough.
That's a cough.
I might mention that, you go ahead and talk. Gina was off yesterday, came in today, a bit under the weather, although she won't admit it. And if you look at our new Facebook ads, you'll notice that, I forget what I was going to say. Oh, we have a new picture up there. Excuse me. We're doing a live show, but it's okay. You spend your time. It's okay. Go ahead.
No, you were saying about the
Oh,
ad,
I was
the
going
new
to say
ad.
it's a brand new picture of us, and
Oh.
God, it's a nice picture of you.
I guess.
All
Yeah.
right.
I wasn't sick yesterday. I had a migraine, so I do feel better, but I just feel,
Yucky.
yeah, not so good. So anyways, so the auction winners, please give us a call after the show about 4:15 or Monday morning.
And later in the show, I'm going to show you the 3 birds that we sold. They're just gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep. And all the birds that we auction off are donated. So just so you know. And if you'd like to donate any, feel free to give Jerry a call. Okay, so next Saturday, October 31st, we will be at a show in Ohio, the Fantail Show. If you'd like to place a pre-order, give us a call. You can talk to any one of us here that answer. Just let them know you want us to bring it to the Ohio show on the 31st. Kim and I will be there.
What's the name of the show, if you remember? I can't, the town, and if you want to know where the show.
Bellefontaine.
Bellefontaine, if they want to.
Yeah. Bellefontaine, Ohio. October 31st. If you have any questions, give us a call. Any pre-orders, call us to do that, and we will be taking product to the show if you're interested. Also, 2021 year bands are available for pre-order. You can pre-order them now, and they ship out at the end of December. So if you'd like to give us a call for that, please feel free. And we are out of 2020 bands completely. Okay. Do you have anything to say?
No, not at the moment.
We're outside today doing a show, and it is beautiful.
Yep,
Beautiful
79
out
today.
here.
A little bit of
Yeah.
a breeze. Sun is shining.
Veronica asked me this morning, "Are we doing the show outside?" I was like, I don't know. I'll let you know. And I came out, and I was like, oh, most definitely. So nice out. But after today, I think it's going to get cold again. So we'll take this nice weather.
Should we mention, because we do have new viewers, that they can send in questions, or was that further on down the list?
We can mention that.
Okay, go ahead.
Anytime during the show, if you have a question on the topic that we're discussing or any other topic, please feel free to send us a question, and we will answer it live on the air. 9 times out of 10, we get to all the questions. So please feel free to ask. If you're thinking it, somebody else is probably thinking the same thing too. So please ask us your questions. Did you want to mention anything?
No.
Okay.
Are you done with your pre-show thing?
I'm not.
Okay.
Jerry and I wanted to say hi to Fred Tholke. If you're on, Fred, I
Hi,
don't
Fred.
even know. Hope you're doing well, Fred. And we also wanted to say happy birthday to a few of our customers. So Bill Burchek, he's a walk-in customer. He lives in Pittsburgh area. Good friend of Jerry's. If you're watching, Bill, happy birthday. Also Grummus, happy birthday, Grummus. I believe his birthday's today. And he's from the Pittsburgh area as well.
And a multi-time contributor to the Legacy Fund Trust for some top quality birds.
Yes. And happy birthday to Gerard. He's from New York. He came down 2 weekends ago to visit us. And so happy birthday, you guys. If you want us to say happy birthday, happy anniversary to anybody, contact me and we'll be sure and do it on the show.
Will we sing a duet? Happy birthday to them?
No.
They should know what a singer you are. Once they hear that voice, we're going to start getting recommendations for certain songs. So
Yeah, I'm
that's
sure.
why you don't want to do it. It would just take up
Some
so much
songs
time.
I can sing. Yeah, it'll take too much time. I love to sing, but I can't.
You never let it stop you. No.
I sure don't. I sure don't. I even catch myself on the phone sometimes if like I'm waiting for a customer to look something up. I'll be singing a song because there's always music on in the store. They probably think, "Oh goodness." So, anyways, so pre-breeding and breeding.
Okay. Do you have the form?
I
I
do.
know you do. I know you
I
do.
do.
If you're just watching, you know that I have a bad habit of interrupting or questioning Gina, and I'm trying to do better.
It's okay. I don't mind. It throws me off sometimes, but especially on a day like today where I'm not all together here. But you know, it'll be all right. We'll get through it.
Pre-breeding.
I ain't even gonna go there. Okay, pre-breeding. It was a comment.
And don't mind interrupting us if you have a question. We'll stop and answer your question on pigeon health or anything that has to do with pigeons. We're more than happy to help you out if we
With
possibly can.
pigeons, yes.
What did I say?
You said with pigeons. I'm
Okay.
just reiterating.
Oh, you don't want them to ask the personal questions. We used to have a part of the show. Remember, we're part of the show.
I remember.
Ask anything. It's still here. If you have a question about me, about Gina, about the Kim, the king of pigeons, of king of voice pigeons, queen,
Whatever.
yeah, queen bee. All right, sorry,
That was my nickname in the Navy, Queen Bee.
queen bee.
On the ship, yeah.
For you who don't know, Gina served 20 years. Doesn't look at her. How could she possibly work for 20 years? And how long have you been working for us?
11.
That's 31
Retired
years.
for 11
She must have started when she was in diapers.
And guess how old I'll be next week?
41.
Something like that. Sure will.
Well, we have to recognize your birthday next week.
Next
We're
week.
going to miss it.
Yeah.
So if you want to send in a pre-happy birthday message, then certainly do that. Might even, no, I can't sing either. All right, pre-breeding.
Okay, so pre-breeding, we have some programs from Aviomed from Dr. Botha. More than what we're going to talk about here, but we're going to talk about the pre-breeding program and the breeding program. I do have them, and I can email them to you if you'd like. Just give me a call, and I'll send them to you. What was you going to say?
No, I was going to say snail mail will work too, right?
Or that, yeah,
No,
I'd
yeah.
prefer to email them, but if you don't have an email, I can send them in the mail. So the pre-breeding program.
The one we have, excuse me, is this one. And when it comes to pre-breeding, this is, and you can break it down any way you want, but it doesn't change anything. I'm sorry, we're doing a show. We're doing a live show. Oh, sorry. You go that way. Okay. Sorry, our garage door is open, folks, and that's fine. People walk in. That's no problem at all. But anyway, this program put together by Dr. Botha from South Africa, who is a world-renowned pigeon vet. He also raced pigeons for many years. It's for 6 weeks. Now, if you decide after 6 weeks you want to continue because you are starting a program maybe 12 weeks before you're putting the bird together to breed, you just repeat it. So, pre-breeding is so very, very important. You've got to make sure if you're going to put birds together, you're going to have healthy birds. So in talking about the pre-breeding program, which Gina mentioned, we'd be glad to mail to you, it's 6 weeks. You follow it and it gives you day by day by day by day what to do, what to put in the water, when to vaccinate, all those kinds of things. We've got so many requests for this over the years. I thought we'd talk a little bit more about it than we have in the past. So one of the things you'll notice, and I'm going to ask Gina to go through it, just the medications real quick. The first one, pre-breeding, actually includes the medications. When we get into the breeding season, you'll see almost no medications at all. So pre-breeding when you're pre-breeding, first 6 weeks, we're talking about concentrating on preventing disease. The next program, the breeding program, will concentrate on keeping the birds healthy. So,
Sorry. Sorry, I was talking to Veronica. She was telling me something. Don't forget. um, so before you start breeding, you want to make sure your loft is clean. You disinfect your lofts, your breeding boxes. Nest boxes, nest bowls, everything. You want to make
yeah, perches,
perches.
floor.
That's what I was thinking of.
It's so important to start out with a clean loft. Makes no sense not to. So if you've committed to this pre-breeding program, which is 6 weeks, maybe 7 or 8 weeks before your scheduled pre-breeding program, and then breeding, you want to clean that loft as good as you possibly can, as Gina said. We sell products to do that, but any company that sells pigeon supplies would have the things that you need. We're not the only one. So don't forget your drinkers. Very important. Don't forget your feeders. Clean them. Wash them get them as clean as you possibly can, and then disinfect them. And then you might want to spray your feeder and your drinker with a parasite spray, something to kill bugs. We talk about flies and insects and so forth. They might be in the cracks of your feeder. You don't know. So now's the time to make sure they're ready. Would you want to talk about the products, or would you like me to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about them.
Okay. You don't have to get feisty about it.
I wasn't. I just didn't want to lose my train of thought. And we do understand that everybody may not be breeding now or starting to breed soon.
Good point.
Breeding season is different for everyone depending where you live. Some people don't ever separate their birds and they're continually breeding, which is not good for them. But if you have no choice, then you have no choice. It stresses them out. And Jerry got a customer today came in, and what did he tell you?
Well, I got to talking to him. He's from West Virginia, and his daughter is a member of FFA, Future Farmers of America. And he said, I just wanted to thank you because we called. We had a little bit of a health issue, and your recommendations were spot on, and it took care of the health issue. But what Gina is referring to, he says also something I never really thought about it, but on one of your shows, you talked about separating the hens and the cocks. And for the first time ever, I did it last winter. And this year, this summer, this breeding season was the best we've ever had. So I'm passing that on to you. Good, clean loft planning precedes performance. It's an old saying. So we're in the planning stages with pre-breeding. So the products that we sell, and we're going to mention specific products. We have them, most cases, because we, like so many other companies, are having a devil of a time getting products in from overseas because of the pandemic. We're doing our best. So, in almost all cases, if we don't have the particular product, we, in most cases, can recommend a substitute.
And if you didn't see last week's show, and you used to use Oxine, we now have it back in stock. It's a disinfectant, great disinfectant. So if you're looking for that, we now have it finally back in stock.
And what was the other one that came in and we haven't had for a while?
No, that was the new product we talked about.
What about Oxine?
I just said Oxine, didn't I? Did I say Oxine? Oh, okay. I want to make sure I said the right thing.
Who listens to the show? Evidently not me.
Oh, and I'm gonna go back. I forgot to mention we did get in a container in this week, and we got a bunch of products that have been out of stock for a long time. So if you go onto our website under recommended, no,
One,
what's it called? The ones on the front. Under our feature products, that lists all the products that were previously out of stock. A bunch of drinkers, some feeders, a whole bunch of stuff. Crocs.
I was going to mention that we have a new trap in. We may not talk about this show if we don't have time. I'm really anxious. I gave out 2 of the traps for people to try. It's a trap that is made to catch small animals and birds. To the best of my knowledge, first of all, when I talk about hawks, you have to understand they're protected. You can't kill a hawk, but we have a trap that is a humane way, that's the trap that just came in, to catch hawks. But if you do it, be aware, and I'm not suggesting you do it. I don't think it's illegal. I don't believe it is. You might want to check with your local game warden. But you catch a hawk, it catches them live. In fact, it'll catch 2. You then would take them a number of miles away, maybe to a park, and let the hawks go. I'm excited. We'll talk about it on our next show, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the new product that came in with this container, and then all the stuff that was out of stock, and then hopefully in about a month we should be getting another container with a bunch of the feeders that the feeder with guards are out of stock, and the ceramic galley pots and a bunch of other stuff. So we should be getting that within a
As you know,
month. Hopefully.
we do import from Spain. That just came in. We import from Belgium. That container will be here within the next couple of weeks or so. We also import from Taiwan. So we have lots of products from there.
Poland.
And we import containers from Poland. So it goes without saying, when you keep the range of products that Voice does, we're going to run out of stuff. You do your very best to plan a year ahead, but it doesn't always work.
Especially now in these times, it's hard to sometimes get the product in, and
Cool.
yeah, as soon as we get it, it's gone. But just so you know, if we get product in that's been out of stock, it will be on the front page of the website. Okay, back to the pre-breeding program. Like Jerry said, it lists every day for each week the vitamins, the medicines, what you should do, if you should vaccinate, if you haven't already vaccinated. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it gives day by day, but not only day by day, morning and evening.
Right.
So it isn't just one time. It's what you do in the morning and then what you do in the evening.
Yeah. So it will list in each column vitamins, treatment, morning treatment, afternoon, like Jerry said. And so some of the products for the pre-breeding would be treating for coccidiosis, treat and canker.
It covers the
And
whole
then
gamut of
everything.
all the different, most common diseases.
Right. And just know that what it lists here, there's 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a substitute product that we or somebody else has if we don't have it in stock.
I was writing on canker, as I mentioned earlier in the book, and one of the things, I read a lot of books before I do this. If it's a subject, and I want to mention canker, one of the things everybody mentions in their description of treating canker is you have to rotate the product. If you use from year to year the same product, it's going to, every time you use it, the value goes down. You have to rotate. My suggestion is rotate at least 2 products. 3 is better. So whatever you use, if you go twice a year or 3 times a year, you're going to rotate. So keep, maybe put a date or something, keep a record of which one you used the last time. Because in giving something for canker, you want to make sure it works. Or it may not work and you're going to call us. And one of the first things I do ask people when they have canker issues is, did you rotate your product?
Mm-hmm.
interrupted you, didn't I?
No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
And it's important to know, even though the product name may be different, it may have the same drug in the product. So it's important to know what drug you're actually using, what drug is in the product.
Pre-breeding, it talks about worming, and I just passed this on because I got a question on it the other day. As you know, as a wormer, there's a product called ivermectin, right?
Mhm.
And we have others, but one of the questions I get on occasion, and what brought it up was it came up recently, is what's the difference between moxidentin and ivermectin? Sound like they're exactly the same thing.
Similar.
I contacted Dr. Bosa and said, his name's Oker, and you may meet him in Louisville. He's thinking about coming to the Grand National. But ivermectin is a slow, uh, a slow-acting drug. Moxidentin works faster. They're both basically the same, but if you want a fast-acting, it's
Moxidectin.
moxidentin. Go ahead. Just things come to my mind. The listening audience knows it. How come we don't have one question? Nobody's asking questions.
We do, it's coming.
Oh, I think it's because we're so adapted and psycho. What do you call it when you can look into the future? We know what they're going to ask, so we answer the question before it's even asked.
Okay, here's our first question. Hi,
Okay.
Amber. Thank you for your question. Okay, she said, hello, guys. Just want to say I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. I have noticed my squabs are getting their legs spread some. Last time I took a baby to the vet and found out it was a vitamin deficiency. I used the Versalaga molting and breeding, but I think they still are needing vitamins since it's happening again. What would be a good vitamin to add for all year long and breeding?
It's the first thing you would ask.
Splayed leg. I would ask what kind of nest bulls you're using. Well, I thought leg spread. I think splayed leg.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I
And
thought.
that's what she said, like spread something.
I saw
Yeah.
that. I read that.
What it is, I don't think you have a health problem. I'm not second guessing the vet, but I think he might have been incorrect also. What
Maybe.
kind of nest bowl do you use is the question.
Nest bowl and nesting material.
And nesting material.
Yeah.
Is it possible, and we'll wait for your answer, Amber.
Coconut fiber nest pads.
Okay. Coconut fiber. No. And what about the nest bowls? She's answering. While we're waiting, there are 3 or 4 different nesting materials. We sell something called, you want to talk about that one? No, it's just
What?
tobacco stems.
stems?
How do you use tobacco stems?
You have to soak them in water.
There you go. There you go. I do that intentionally, folks, because I want you to know there aren't many questions that Kim and Gina or Sherry can't answer because we've talked about it so many times. The reason I was asking about the bowl from Amber, first of all, I'll bet you anything you're using, I'm just guessing, a slippery bowl, plastic, even wood. Could be it could be any metal. I'm not sure what you're using, but if it's slippery, the reason if it's slippery, you could get what's called splayed leg, and splayed leg is when both legs go out. I didn't know this until a few years ago. It's especially prominent when you. I'm not supposed to do that, right?
It's okay.
It's prominent when you only have one bird in the nest. Mother Nature has pigeons lay 2 eggs, and there's a real solid reason for that. The birds are laying side by side, they're pushing each other, and they're able to stand because of the balance that the opposite bird is giving them. So when you have 2 birds in a nest, very rarely do you have splayed leg. But when there's only one and it starts to push, the legs slide out. And if the legs slide out and they go down within a matter of less than a day, those splayed legs, and they just go straight out, will be there forever. There's very little you can do. There are some suggestions, and they may or may not work. But if Amber can get back to us, I think we could discuss it more. But I think you have not a health issue, but an issue with the nest balls or the nesting material that you're
She
using.
uses the weave nest bowls.
Okay, they're plastic, aren't they?
They're plastic.
Before. Go to Home Depot, Lowe's, local hardware store. They sell an aerosol can that is used to spray material on so that in the wintertime you spray the steps and it allows the surface to be gritty and you don't slip. Get yourself a can of that and spray the bottom of those nest bowls. I think you'll find that it will eliminate the problem. Do your best to keep two young in a nest if you can. It's not always a reason, but it's one of the reasons. Because I know in the past I've raised one young and haven't had an issue. But I do know in reading the material, other people have.
Is it possible it could be a vitamin deficiency?
If it's both of them, both legs, and they are spread out like she mentioned, it's not what you would have with a deficiency in more calcium than vitamin. It's going to be one leg. Just like if you have, like me, I have arthritis. I have arthritis in one hand, the other hand's fine.
Right.
Same with the pigeon. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. If you have any more questions, Amber, you can ask us or give us a call anytime. Hi, Elmer. Elmer said hi. Wayne. Hi, Wayne. How are you? Wayne said, "What do you think about iodine for preparing for breeding?"
We still sell it, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We sell iodine, or triodine, it's called, and I think it's a good one that you want to use before breeding season. It may not be mentioned in the program, but yes, iodine.
It is. Yeah. It's in the program. Yeah, iodine is good. Elmer. Hi, Elmer. Elmer asks, "What's the best way to scare hawks away from my loft?"
Well, you can do anything and you'll scare them away, but it's a matter of scaring them away for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, and they'll come back. It's not a permanent solution. Hawks are, number one, are territorial. Number two, they're migratory. So in different seasons, you're going to have different hawks. But in my area where it's cold, usually the hawks go south, some of them. But every area has at least one hawk that stays all winter, usually more, and that's their territory. They'll fight their territory, and they know it. So, in answer to your question, I would suggest the only thing you can do is to uh, never or try not to let your birds out at the same time. If you let them go at 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe the next day it's going to be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then it's going to go back to whatever time. Because the hawks get used to the idea that you've got pigeons. And if you let them go at 8 o'clock in the morning, right about 7:45, they're going to be sitting there in the trees. You may not see them. They're waiting for you to let them birds go. But you're not going to wait around 2 or 3 hours if they don't see them. They're going to go on to their next hunting spot. So the best thing you can do, and if you missed the show, I mentioned we do have a trap that may help, but just stagger the time you let the birds go.
Amber said she had 2 pair and both only had 1 baby.
2 different pair, and each have 1 baby.
Both only have 1 baby.
I guess one of the questions I would ask is, are they old birds? When I say old, are they 6, 7, 8 years old? Has it happened more than once or just this once? It's always coincidental. There are going to be times when a pigeon does lay only 1 egg. Doesn't mean it's a health issue. It just means that they laid 1 egg. This is not a good example, but I raise chickens, and I have one chicken. Every third or fourth day, it lays a yolk that's twice as big as what you would normally expect. And it almost always is a double yolk egg. But when it lays a double yolk egg, the next day is only one egg. So that's not a good example, but it's an example of what can happen. So get back to me, let me know if in fact it's just happened one time, or if it's continuous, then we'll discuss that too. Don't mind us, I'm looking, we are out, we're right near the entry into our warehouse, and we do get a lot of people that stop by. So that's why I'm looking over there.
Me too. So as I was saying, the pre-breeding and breeding program, if you are interested, just give me a call, and I can email them or mail them to you.
May I do that?
Do what?
I want to just talk about the products. I think we have time.
For breeding or
Pre-breeding.
pre-breeding?
You want to do it, or would you like me to do it? You can see how
Go ahead.
we plan this show out minute by minute. All right. I just wanted to give you an example. Here we got week 1. On Sunday, multi-breed and feather and immune oil. On Monday, blood form. That has an iron base, iodine base. I'm sorry. On Tuesday, you made a typo. See?
That's not mine. I didn't
Oh
type
no, I'm
it.
just saying you're always
Oh.
pointing out my typos. I'm not the only one.
I
On
know.
Tuesday, it's Fertical, which is a fertilizing product. On Thursday, he's going to go. On Wednesday, it's Entramune, and on Thursday, it's Fertical. On Friday, it's Entramune and Aviogel, and on Saturday, it's Fertical. So there's a lot of Fertical in here because what's the most important thing when you put your birds together? Fertility. All right, there's other products, but I wanted to mention that.
Okay, and then we have the breeding program, which is a 16-week program. And as the same as the other one, it goes through day by day,
Feather.
morning and afternoon, what you give. And it's some of the same stuff as the pre-breeding, with a few other products. Some insecticides to spray your birds with, get all the bugs off your birds. And so it'll show on the paper 8 weeks, and then you repeat it starting back with week 1 again.
So, we're trying to impress upon you folks the importance, as I said, the old saying, preparation precedes performance. If you don't prepare for the breeding season, you shouldn't expect a great breeding season. You've got to get ready. You've got to make sure in there is vaccinating for PMV and paratyphoid. In there, I'm sure, is for canker, very common. There's a worm product in there. You've got to make sure those birds don't have worms. So there's a lot of different things that you've got to address. And if you don't, you're going to pay the price in most cases.
We also have a pre-breeding for fancy pigeons, which is a little bit different. So if you have fancy pigeons and you want that one as well, just let me know when you call or email us.
Okay. If you're just watching, if you don't have our catalog, if you're just one of the new viewers, we have a catalog that is 124 pages long in full color. Even if you never buy a product from us, there's so much information in here about disease. If you look at a lot of our competitors, they'll say ronadazole is for canker, 1 teaspoon to a gallon. The girls kid me about it, but for boys it might be 2 paragraphs. I go on and on and on, but I'm trying I'm trying to sell you products, sure, but I'm also trying to teach you. Amber's back.
He writes just like he talks a lot. I'm not saying it's bad, because I'm straight and to the point and I'm done. Okay, so Amber, she said, no, they're about 2 years old. The first time the one pair of 2 babies and only one had the legs spreading. That's when I took it to the vet and he recommended the Riley Bush squab diet.
Amber, would you do this? If it's at all possible, take a picture of the bird with the leg that's spread out. I'd like to see it. Send it to Floyd, and Gina will forward it right to my home, and I'll take a look at it. And if you include your phone number, I certainly will call you. But if, in fact, the veterinarian thinks you should have vitamins, make sure the vitamin includes some sort of a calcium supplement. Um, and looking at it, 2 years old, that's a young bird, and one had two babies, and one only had legs spread on. I can't read it all. Anyway, um, I'm I'm still comfortable with what I said, but Lord knows I'm not right all the time. So send a picture to it. I'd like to see it. But Rowdy Bush's Squab Diet is a good product, no question about it.
And Amber, if you want to text it to my phone, if that's easier for you, give me a call after the show, and I'll give you my number, and you can text it, and I'll give it to Jerry.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to also call me at home. I'm pretty much retired from the company. All the girls don't believe it, but I think I'm retired from the company. Most of my work is writing a book now and answering health questions. Got a pencil? We'll give you our phone number in just a minute or so. Give you something, get you something to write on.
You've been doing good, staying away.
Okay.
Amber, Wayne said put some sand in your nest bowl and don't clean constantly. Sand is good.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, people ask me, um, for instance, what's the best material you can put on a floor of a loft? You have a wooden floor. Um, the best product is something called floor covering, made in Belgium specifically for pigeons. The second best is sand, beach sand, like you would buy at the store for a playground or something. Also, was his name Wayne that mentioned it?
Wayne.
Wayne is spot on. One of the nice things about sand in a nest bowl, and there might be holes in the bottom, you're going to have to tape those holes up, is sand. Did I say it wrong?
No, I'm just laughing because she has a weave nest bowl that has holes all through it.
Okay, so you have to tape them up because the sand will dribble through. But sand also holds the heat better than anything, even better than tobacco stems, straw, hay, whatever you use. If you put sand in there, and you can also put tobacco stems on top of that, but you'll see the mother and father will open up an area, a bare area, to get to the sand and keep the eggs warm.
Thank you, Wayne.
See, that's what makes our show so good. So good, that's pompous, isn't it? That's what makes our show so interesting to the folks listening. Other people sending in questions and learning from it. I'm sure that Veronica over there would probably qualify as a professor. She's heard so much about this, but she still refuses to get pigeons. I think it's because her husband won't let her, because her husband is the boss in that family.
Hi, Terry, if you're watching. I don't know if I agree with that, but we'll go with that.
I have a question, and I'll tell you what.
Okay.
If the person answers this question, whoever answers the question first, I'll give them a $10 gift certificate.
Okay.
This had nothing to do with pigeons, nothing to do with pigeons. How many different addresses and places, how many different places have I lived in my lifetime?
Okay.
I bet the guesses are going to be.
You gonna tell me who's in the military?
Huh?
Are you gonna tell me who's in the military?
No.
Oh, okay.
How many different places have I lived?
Sorry.
We're going to try. We haven't
For a
talked about
$10
breeding.
gift
For a
certificate.
$10 gift certificate.
Okay. We talked about breeding.
Okay. Show season, we've talked about that before.
Did we talk about breeding? Yeah, we talked about it.
Okay. Go ahead.
So if there's anything you need for breeding season, make sure you get it before breeding season so you have it when you need it. Not 3 and not 36. Somewhere in between there.
Yeah. No, not necessarily somewhere in between. Could be 50.
Oh, it could be.
You see, you gave out part of the answer.
Well, there's a lot in between there.
I had something in my mind and you rudely interrupted me. I was going to talk about it. Oh, well.
We was talking about breeding.
Oh, I
weren't
know,
we?
I know.
Oh.
We're talking about the pre-breeding and the breeding program. If you don't follow those programs, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have some products in stock. One of the things I probably recommend it more than anything when people call me, because the symptoms, and I write in my book about this, the symptoms of disease are so similar in different diseases. It's very difficult. But there's one product I would never be without, and it's been successful when I recommend it time after time after time. It's amoxicillin. Amoxicillin comes in powdered form and it comes in tablet form. You should have it in your loft, because if you don't, you can't run to the drugstore or to the hardware store to buy amoxicillin, even though it's a human product. No vet's going to give you anything without. I'm sorry, not a vet. No pharmacist is going to give you anything without a prescription. We sell amoxicillin. It's what they call broad spectrum, and it treats a lot of different things when you're not sure. And also, you can use it. It's safe when you're breeding. There's a disease, if I remember, it's called chlamydia. You can go 45 straight days with it. 45 days on the same product every day. So it shows it's safe. Some diseases take time. There's no magic bullet where you give your flock drugs for 3 days that you think in most cases it's going to work. It isn't. If that product says 7 to 10 days, do 10 days. If it says 5 days, 5 days. If I recommend 14 days, 14 days. Because that's what's going to work for you. Don't expect results immediately. And when you're talking about these kind of products, what do we say every time, Gina? When we're done telling them to use an antibiotic, you should then
Follow with a probiotic.
someday I'm going to be gone, and you're the person that's going to be the pro. Not that you're not already. Okay. If you've got a question, send it in. In talking about, let's talk about those birds.
Hold on, I
Go
want to
ahead.
say something about that. So a lot of times, like Jerry said, when you medicate, once the birds start looking better and acting better, you stop. You can't stop. Just like us, if the doctor says take whatever for 14 days, I know I'm bad with it too. Once I start feeling better, because I don't like taking medicine, I stop. But you need to go for the full duration of the what
Absolutely.
it's called for.
Probably hear we're the only show that has pigeon noise in the background, and like in baseball games now they pipe in this recorded sound. We don't have to do that. There's a see which one it is. Oh, it's a pair of helmets up there, and the male, the cockbird, is saying, "Hey, honey, it's time."
So to for the question again, anybody that's answered yet hasn't been right. So send in your answers. How many? Hi, Alex. How many places has Jerry lived in his life?
And I'm not talking about hotels or motels. I'm saying I moved everything, lock, stock, and barrel, and another house. How many houses have I lived in? Or buildings? Yeah. They're not all houses.
Right.
Right.
And I've lived in more than him.
Have you?
That's
You figured
crazy.
you have? Well, you're all over around the world. Why don't you set that up, and I'll talk a little bit. We'll talk about those 3 pair.
Okay, what am I setting up?
The camera. Aren't you going to take the camera over there to show?
How are you going to talk if I'm moving the camera?
You always got questions like that I can't answer. I'll go get the birds, okay? Jeez.
Thank you. Send your answers in. $10 gift certificate. Nope, Norm, you're not right. Keep guessing. Somebody's gonna get it. That was my first answer, was 10 to him too, Norm, and I
And
was
please, only one guess, right?
Huh?
Somebody's going to keep guessing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wrong, Arthur. Way wrong.
Okay. Anybody that's a member of the National Pigeon Association has heard about and knows Tim Heinrich. I've I've been a member, in fact, I'm past president of the NPA. He is the best secretary treasurer the National Pigeon Association has ever had. And this is not the first time he sent me birds for an auction. He sent me three birds. I'm sorry, three pair of birds. All three of them were put up for this week's auction over the last week, and we closed it today. Look at this pair of birds. What we have here is a pair of German owls. One is yellow check, just a beautiful, beautiful bird. You can see it's not done with the molt. The last feather hasn't come out yet. See that? So it's still partial molt. That's why feather just came off, and another feather. So we have a red argent. We have a yellow check. Just gorgeous, gorgeous birds. Mm-hmm. Tim wins in a lot of shows, or he places very, very high. These are top quality birds. What did they go for? Do you happen to remember?
Which ones are they?
These are the Modinas. Who bought them?
160.
They went for $160 a pair. Sounds like a lot of money, but this is breeding season. You want to improve your breeding stock. If you raise this breed, what an opportunity to bring quality in to cross with your bird. So these are the Argent Modinas. What year are they, Gina? I think they're
I don't know.
NPA. Okay, can you see that?
19.
Okay, these are, I know they're both 2019 birds. Young birds ready to produce winners for you. Mated pair, too.
Nobody has the right answer yet, but somebody's awfully close. I won't say who.
Okay. Another pair of birds from Tim, the Secretary Treasurer of the NPA. Look at this. African owls. Aren't they beautiful? Pair of yellows. I'm sorry, a yellow and I call it chocolate. I'm not sure what Tim called them, but they're a mated pair. They're over there trying to find a place to lay eggs. So if you're looking, and these are very difficult to buy. I have people calling, looking for African owls, and there just aren't that many people selling them. So this pair went for how much? $200. Sounds like a lot of money. But just think, if you want to start out, or if you have African owls and you want to improve what you've got, who bought these?
African owls. Donovan Meeks.
Donovan Meeks?
Mm-hmm.
You made a great purchase. I'm sure you'll be very, very happy. And these birds are ready to breed, so whenever your breeding season starts, these guys are ready. Got one more pair from Tim.
What's the other pair? Helmets.
Yep.
Helmets. No correct answer yet. Keep guessing.
All right.
These are so pretty.
Tim sent these birds. They're just gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Pair of helmets from Tim Heinrich. One blue and the red. These are called, I know a lot of people probably have never even seen these. These are plain head helmets. The most helmets have a crest, but this is in fact the plain head. Also, there's a helmet that has muffed on their feathers on their feet too. But beautiful pair. This bird is just about completely done with the molt. Not a bug, pure white, just gorgeous, gorgeous pairs. And if I remember right, these are 2019?
19.
Yep. So young birds. Tim didn't send us old birds that he's trying to get rid of. He sent good birds. I'm going to show you one more bird I want to show you.
Those also went for $200.
Pardon?
I said those also went for $200.
Wow. Now, the next auction, and you'll be bidding starting next week or the week after. Anyway, you'll have plenty of time. Ori brought this. I have two birds, and the unusual thing, and you don't get this opportunity very often, is that they're both hens. He brought me two extra hens, very, very rarely does anybody have extra hens. They almost always have extra cocks. I'll tell you about this pair of birds. They're two young birds, but the parents to these birds or the bloodline of these birds, and Ori sends birds all over the United States for the one-loft races and the special races. He has won $55,000 with the um, parents and grandparents of these pigeons. Just, man, what a handful they are. Just gorgeous. Um, a lot of them have hubin in them. In fact, I'm going to show you another one. Look at the head and look at the eyes, chalk white. What Ori does is just unbelievable. He's so consistent. So not only does he have good looking birds, he wins his more than his share of races. So this is a blue check hen.
And they do have pedigrees.
Yeah, didn't
They have
mention that.
pedigrees.
Can you see that?
Turn it.
20?
This year, yeah, 2020.
This year's bird, and it makes it 2020. It's got 2 more feathers to molt.
Is that right?
Yep. 17. Yep.
Okay, we have a winner. Roberta, you're one. He's lived in 17 different places in his life. 17, wow.
This is a Hubin hen. I'm pretty sure it's a 20 bird, isn't it? The blue band.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a 2020 hen also. You'll be getting a pedigree, but this is a much sought after strain of pigeons. It's a Hubin hen. So if you're looking for good birds, these birds will be auctioned off on our next auction, and you'll remind me of that too. I also might mention, I don't know whether Fred is still watching, but Fred informed me that next week he's mailing me, not he, it's Fred and Dave Knittle. I think that's how you pronounce it. 2 pair of American fantails, and not just American fantails. Fred's always hesitant to send out birds. He just doesn't keep many. But what he does have are top of the line. So, in fact, the American, I think it's the Mid-America Fantail Club is going to be honoring him this year for everything he's done for the hobby and for the quality of fantails we have. So, hopefully, we'll have a pair of American fantails on our next auction also.
Yeah. And the last 2 female birds that Jerry showed you, he said they're from Ori. Ori is from the Pittsburgh area as well.
Yep.
And like I said, they do have pedigrees with them.
And so we know the next auction we're going to have a gorgeous pair of racing homers, a gorgeous pair of top quality American fantails, and we're going to have a kit of rollers. So the kit will be 5 birds. You can buy one of 2 different kits I'm going to offer. They're from Jim Milan, Dr. Jim Milan from Florida. So we'll offer 2 kits, or you can bid on both of them and take them both, or you can bid on one based on the pictures. I think we've got to do some showing.
Yeah, we are. The auction, just so you know, for anybody new watching, you have to bid on our Facebook page. You can't call in to bid, and there's nowhere else to bid. You have to do it on Facebook. It's normally put up the week before, right, Veronica? The week before, and then it ends 2 o'clock on Friday, the day of the Facebook show.
And we have people calling them and hoping that they can get a bid in, but we're very strict. We say you can't call a bid in, you can't mail a bid in, you have to do it through Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, here, this is where I've lived. I don't think I got them all. I was trying to do it by memory. Most of you know I was born and raised in Maine. When I was 18 years old, I went into the Air Force, so I lived in San Antonio. From San Antonio, the Air Force moved me to Amarillo. From Amarillo, they sent me to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Then I also lived in Dayton. I lived in Michigan. When I was an adult, I lived in 3 other places in Maine. I lived in Moon Township. I lived in Clinton, Pennsylvania. I lived in Little Washington. I lived in Allison Park. I lived in Aliquippa. I lived in Rochester. And now I currently live in North Swickley. I don't know how many that adds up to, but I'm all done moving.
But in North Swickley, you lived in 3 different places.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
So it's probably more than 17, but that's the number I gave out. So 17 it is.
I'll have to figure mine out.
Once again, we sure do thank you guys for watching our show. We're going to be on in a couple of weeks. That's
2 weeks.
6th, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be at a pigeon show next weekend, and it's in Ohio.
Bellefontaine, Ohio.
Bellefontaine. It's an all-breed pigeon show. So if you've never been to a pigeon show or you like to go to pigeon show, you can call Gina. She can tell you where it's at and maybe some contact information. And as Gina mentioned, we're going to be taking a load of products, not a big line like we might take at the National, but we're going to take a bunch of products. Also, if you would like to order something and for us to bring it, you pay for it in advance. And when you get there, it will be in a box with your name on it. You don't have to pay a penny shipping. So a good way to save money. Also, to recap the show, we have those pre-breeding and breeding programs for racing pigeons and fancy birds. Uh, Now's the time to get ready. Some of you aren't going to breed probably until next March or next January. I, for one, and I'm not the only one, put my birds together the weekend of Thanksgiving so that I've got birds come February and March. And a lot of the racing pigeon people do that too. So if you want a pre-breeding and a breeding program, no charge. We'll mail it.
Right. Yep. Just call me and I'll send it to you. So, as Jerry said, the show in Ohio next week. If you want to place an order, please call by Wednesday. We load the truck up on Thursday. If you call Thursday, we're going to be loaded.
May not be any room.
Right, and I try to fill every space in the truck. So if we have space when I'm loading, I just put other stuff that we possibly may sell at the show. So I fill everything. So call early, get your order in, don't wait. If there's any product, anything you want to talk about on a future show, all you have to do is call us, send us a message, and we'll be more than happy to talk about something, to show you any product that you want us to show. Just let Jerry or myself know. Our phone number is 724-843-6889.
Want to talk to me? My phone number is
Jerry's home phone number, since he's retired, is 724-359-5355, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not before, not after.
and understand, it's my house. I'm outside cutting grass, working the car, whatever I'm doing. I don't always answer.
He cooks, he cleans, he works in the garden, he does it all.
Working on a book.
Yeah. He
So
may be on the other line.
I will call you back. Some people get surprised. Sometimes I call as late as 9 o'clock at night because I might be gone all day. And I sometimes get as many as 20 calls a day. So trying to keep up with it. I'm not always home, but I always call you, if at all possible, the same day.
One thing I wanted to mention before we go is we've been getting a lot of calls with people having the virus. A lot of people have been having the adenovirus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a good product to have on hand is the NutriDrops. It's a great product. If you know anybody that uses it, there's always been success with it. When people come back from shows, or if they get a virus and it kills your birds, it's a great product. If you have any questions, call us and ask.
And NutriDrops can be mixed with any antibiotic that you have, any of them.
Right.
So if you want to be even safer, give them the NutriDrops. There may be something called a secondary, I thought it was raining, a secondary infection. So I mentioned it earlier. Put them on something called amoxicillin, or use the NutriDrops, and you notice something of a respiratory issue. They're coughing, they're sneezing, there's mucus in their throat, their eyes are watery. Then include a respiratory drug instead of the amoxicillin. I'm calling you. Good.
I kept seeing a light over there. I didn't know what
Oh,
it
it's
was.
a reflection off of the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Here.
So our next show is Friday, November 6th. If you want us to talk about anything or share anything, give myself or Jerry a call.
You have a secretary.
Myself or Jerry.
Oh, I thought you said call my secretary.
I need a secretary.
I can't disagree with that. If you don't know what Gina does, she's in charge of inventory, but not just inventory. There's so many other things.
I'm his secretary.
Yeah, and you have to order products. It's just so much that she does. And if you come to our warehouse, you'll be amazed how neat and clean it is. Right now, we're going to have to rake it out with this show. The leaves have been blowing in, so we got leaves all over the place. So Gina, um, like I say, does everything. She answers so many of the health questions. Um, and I think people are starting to understand. If you talk to Gina or Kim or Sherry, um, they can almost always answer your question. And I've mentioned it before. Some of the male chauvinists don't think the girls know what they're talking about and have to call me. And invariably, when they call after they've talked to one of the ladies, I give them exactly the same answer in almost all cases. But what else would you expect? They learned it from me and from doing the show and from creating the catalog. That's another thing that Gina's heavily involved in, is creating the catalog. The catalog is put together by Gina and I. We send it to Veronica. She puts it all together in catalog form. So Gina's a hard worker.
I just wanted to mention Norm said that he's a firm believer in using Poise Ultra Pro. Thank you, Norm.
Yeah, Ultra Pro is something people they will call and order vitamins, and then they'll call and order probiotics separately. Ultra Pro is a combination of vitamins and a probiotic at the same time.
Thank you, Norm. And that is a very popular product. So until November 6th, hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you then.
Thanks for listening.